So you may already know, but I've been reducing input size to my neural network. For instance, in the past, I compressed relative positions to the targets by only including nearest relative positions to the targets, because if I were to include relative positions to all resources, I'd have to multiply number of resources, which is 33 by number of coordinates I've been using, which is 2, because it's x and z. So it would be 33 times 2, in total like 66 inputs just to have relative positions, and that's just massive. So I've just compressed by using nearest relative positions to the targets, and I've been continuing reducing number of inputs, and this time I removed absolute positions. So these are absolute positions of my AI, where the AI is now like encoding current positions of AI. So I removed them, and now the stage looks like this. And I've just started training my AI, so the performance looks degraded, but I've trained my AI without these states many times, and it has been observed, I mean, at least by myself, but the performance is pretty good, like as good as I had these states, as good as training with these states could be even better. So I've recorded training my AI without using these states, and as you can see, he's able to survive like more than 30 days. I mean, if we were to compare the total reward, like it's obvious he wouldn't have received this much reward if he hadn't collided with resources enough. So, which just indicates, I mean, he would have been dead by February 4th if he hadn't collided enough with these resources. So I think it's working. Like performance-wise, I think it's fine. And the reason I did this is it's actually more standard to only include relative positions to the targets whenever you're doing this kind of task where you want your AI agent to approach some kind of targets. For my case, water and food. Like I've tried training my AI without relative positions, but including absolute positions, but it never really worked. But other way around, I mean, if I exclude absolute positions and leave the relative position, it works. So I guess I'm not really sure, but maybe AI prefers, or neural network finds it easier to generalize using relative positions rather than having absolute positions. I mean, the AI is able to generalize whenever I include both relative positions and absolute positions. So I think absolute positions is just acting as noise or some kind of disturbance from neural network to generalize. So it was just acting as like noise, and it's just, I guess, redundant. So obviously I reduced the state dimensionality by the input space has been reduced, obviously. This is like 21 inputs, but I've excluded these, so now it's like 18 inputs, which is really nice because I have smaller input size, which is a good thing because it's more easier for a neural network to generalize, or because it has smaller inputs. And also, one of the reason I removed these states is because they weren't really contributing to training. Like, so one of the most important code in this task, or my code, so AI gets closer to these resources because I reward my AI whenever he gets closer to resources, and I also reward my AI whenever he collides with these resources, and these are the code to do that. But inside this code, I never use these states, absolute position. And as you can see, these states aren't really used except like getting recomputed or getting value assigned. Like whenever each episode starts, I call this reset function and I set the states. AI always starts from 0, 0 in xz coordinate, so I just assign 0, 0 here, and whenever he moves I need to update his absolute positions, so I do that. And this is just recomputing relative position, and to do that I need to use his absolute position, but I also have his absolute position inside member variable of mesh class. But I don't know, I just used absolute positions used for states, but this could be member variable of a mesh class. The position member variable. So that's all these states are used. Like they aren't really used. Somehow my neural network is encoding these states, but I don't really think they had been contributing significantly like relative positions did. So in my opinion, like these relative positions aren't really used as well, but I think neural network needs these. But for these absolute positions, I don't think neural network needs. And also humans don't really use absolute positions. Like, for instance, whenever I like to grab this mouse, I don't really think about longitude or latitude of myself and this mouse on the map. Rather, I would think about relative distance to this mouse, like how far I need to reach my arm to get to this mouse. I don't think about, where my what's my longitude or latitude, and what's the mouse for it, the longitude and longitude, and maybe that's possible, but it's more complex, and relative positions are simpler. And I think that would apply to neural network. Simpler is better. So yeah, yeah, that's the reason I removed absolute position. And also, this is really trivial and different uh, topic, but I used to have member variable called visible inside the mesh class. This used to be used so that so I used to have eyes and mouth for my AI, which has been removed, or yeah, I stopped rendering his eyes and mouth, and I had eyes for whenever he's awake and sleep, and I have to toggle between these awake eyes and sleep eyes using this visible variable. But since I don't have these eyes anymore, I don't really have to switch between them. And I thought I might use this to switch on I thought I would use it for different objects, or yeah, but I don't really have a plan for that for now, at least. So I'm just remove this visible member variable, and I think, and it seems like it's not really common to have this variable inside the mesh class. It's more standard to have this kind of variable inside the renderer class. So yeah, that's really, yeah, I think that's all about what I like to talk today. It's just it's the main thing I really wanted to say is I removed absolute positions and reduced the input space. So yeah, thanks.